Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's just after 6, and I want to keep us on schedule and let you all get back to your evening before too long. But really want to thank you all for coming out on a Thursday night to talk about how the county and the city of Seaside are working together. I'm Wendy Root Askew. I'm your county supervisor for District 4. And I'm here with our esteemed mayor of Seaside, Ian Oglesby.
Sure.
So we have a couple slides that we threw together to talk about some of the big picture things we're working on in partnership. And then we were going to open up the floor for comments, questions, feedback, ideas. You tell me what you want to talk about.
No, I'll just say I want to agree with our supervisor here that we appreciate your time and effort. We know you could be other places. Definitely you could be at home completing other tasks. But it is important that you're here today, particularly for this discussion. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank both of our staff, the city staff and the supervisor staff, for putting this thing together, running around the last few months, and particularly today to make sure this thing went off smoothly. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that you guys have not seen, but I want to thank our staff, supervisor staff and the city staff. But I also want to do a special shout out to our supervisor, Wendy Root Askew, for her envisioning this this town hall and inviting me to be co-host. So I want to thank you for that. And
and I will say the staff that we have between the District for Office and the City of Seaside is pretty phenomenal. Some of them do go home together at the end of the night. Who knows what they talk about, but we've been working together really well, and I just huge appreciation to the Seaside team that does incredible outreach in the community. And I'll recognize we've got Council Member Alex Miller here, and and Council Member Dave Pacheco here with us as well. So the three of these guys can't talk to each other, but we'll have a good conversation anyway.
oh, now you tell us.
No Brown Act violations in the room
Not
tonight.
Not tonight.
So,
Never.
So let's see here. We've got a handful of slides.
Just a couple of highlights of what's going on with the city. So first thing I want to say, for those of you that may not know, may not be sure, the city of Seaside is doing well. We're strong. We're doing fantastic. We're moving forward. And we're going to just make sure we try to take advantage of some of the opportunities before us. And with the council making those decisions, we're doing great. So I just want to start off with that. And the main thing is, to make sure any community moves forward, you have to have money coming in, you have to have money moving around your community, and that comes underneath economic development. And so I've been right is one of our main projects coming to fruition. We're closer than we've ever been. It's been about, to be honest, to be clear, it's been about 14 years working on campus now. But with the challenges, particularly over the last 3 years, they just won a lawsuit that took them through up to a Superior Court and even the Supreme Court, a 3-year process. So, you could say we're about 3 years behind with Campus Town. But we look to be breaking ground as they see it, sometime in early quarter of next year, if everything goes well. We're super thankful for that. It's about up to 1,400 housing units that will be built, 100,000 square feet of retail, 50,000 square feet of office space, maker space, and the possibility up to 250-room hotel possibility. That really is going to put us in the driver's seat as it relates to next door to CSUMB, being that neighbor, that campus town with CSUMB, and there goes the name there. A lot of excitement going on with campus town. And then some of you guys have been in this community a long time know about Seaside Market and how long it's been vacant over there on the corner of the Playa and Del Monte, right? And the owners of that finally figured out that they want to move forward on that, and they're going to turn that into a 36-unit, 3-story, 36 apartment unit, 3-story, really mixed-use infrastructure where you have the housing units above and then about 4,000 square feet, about 5,000 square feet of what we call ghost kitchens, and that's where individuals rent the kitchen out and cook their food, and then have Grubhub or DoorDash or somebody like that deliver the food to your house. That's a big thing in the Bay Area, and they look to bring it down here to Seaside. And then on the top floor of that, it'll be a little dining area, seating area, so people al fresco, so you can eat out there, drink out there, and overlook the bay from that rooftop. Then what I'm real focused on, and I know the council's focused on all these things, is the Ascent project, where the old hair company and that old karate studio used to be on Fremont, across the street from the post office. That looks to be about a 106-unit mixed-use apartment complex. About 9 to 10 buildings stretching from one end to the other, and about 5,000 square feet underneath retail. We are hearing from them that they're closer than ever, and they are talking about breaking ground sometime in early December. We're doing our best to hold them to that. It did slip a couple months earlier this year because of the interest rates, but they're back at the table, and they're talking about us really move forward on that before the end of the year. So the council's real focus on that, moving that forward. Next slide, please. So that's economic development. It's more over there. And let's go back a little bit for economic development. Go back one. I didn't have the picture for one of the crowning jewels, because I'm sure you guys heard about it before, is our Grand Hyatt. That's at our hotel and golf resort complex at the old Fort Ord, 2 golf courses that you old timers may know about. We were able to secure a commitment from the Hyatt. They're going to bring a Grand Hyatt to that spot. It's only 59 Grand Hyatts in the world. Seaside will be number 60. So that is the Hyatt's flagship. It's not their biggest, but it's their 5-star hotel. And so they're talking about breaking ground in early January, February. All right, so we're going to try to hold them to that. That looks to be able to go forward, and I believe they will be able to withstand any downturns in the economy. It's privately financed, so they're not dependent on the bank necessarily. That'll be about 333 rooms of hotel rooms, 3 restaurants, and eventually they will redo the clubhouse, and there'll be another restaurant in the clubhouse. But that's the Grand Hyatt at the golf course. Next slide, please. We have other ones, but in interest of time, I won't go through all the wonderful things that we're doing. But also, you know, with economic development, you also want to rebuild or keep your community going forward. And that's called community development, things here and there. One of the biggest things on our radar is what we've been working on for the last 10 years. And really, once we knew that the Highlands were being built, we knew there was a need for a fire station, particularly once the Highlands were built out and the surrounding areas are built out. So the next big thing for us is getting a fire station number 2 over here near the Highlands. And that will be towards the main gate on the former Fort over there by the catacorner with the commissary in that area, for those of you that want to think about where that's at. And so that's the rough design of it. We do have to pay for it, so we will be asking the residents to float a bond for that. Right now we're talking about maybe there will be a police substation over there and some other things we want to do in the community, but we will have to float a bond and ask the community voters to pay for that as it moves forward. Next. Let's just go back to communities. I guess I didn't have enough pictures, but fire station, and then for those of you who don't know, I think you guys go past the old post chapel. We're trying to get that from the Army so we could turn that into some type of cultural arts, some type of performing arts center in the old chapel. If you've ever been there before, it has 2 or 3 wings. We possibly could use some of those wings for a historical museum, and another wing for our archives. So it's a lot of use for that. The Army has no need for that chapel. They're talking about tearing it down, to be honest with you. They had no need for it. So we're trying to do some type of deal with them where if they don't need it, they're not moving their fire station. If they don't need the chapel, then can we have the chapel? And so we're working that through. We won't know whether that will go ahead maybe about another year. We have to send it to headquarters, but it seems like a good possibility. Then on Fremont Avenue, we're going to update our senior center mediums with a new upgrade, try to get some of that dirt out the way and put some drought-resistant plants in the senior center mediums. And then for those of you that have been following, Broadway from Fremont to General Jim Moore will get what we call a complete street repave project. That's similar to what we did down in West Broadway Urban Village, the new downtown, going from 2 lanes in each direction to 1 lane in each direction, bike and a park lane, and a dedicated turning lane in the middle, which will definitely make it safer for you to drive down the street. With that, we have the possibility up to 7 roundabouts in that same area. And that came through a grant from the state government as it relates to Safe Route to School and Complete Streets grant. And then I'll end that part about we're finishing up Catino Park improvements. That should be done December, late December. And then that's good for development. We're doing a lot more on there, but I don't want to take a lot more time. I'll just answer your questions if you have any questions. I think we want to go to what's always in front of the council, what's in front of the citizens, our issues and concerns. And one of the main issues that we have the council works on continuously is how do we get more people into housing that they can afford? How do we create, incentivize developers to build housing that people can really afford? And part of that is you have to let them build market rate housing so they can build affordable housing. What they consider affordable housing still is not enough. That's why we created the Seaside Housing Collaborative, where we're trying to, it's an independent nonprofit, focus on trying to work with developers to build smaller housing units that are affordable for that middle income, that missing middle, that workforce economy and the workforce members that are struggling to pay and afford rent and definitely struggling to pay mortgage. So that's something we're always working on. And of course, part of that is, public safety. We're doing good in public safety. We still have concerns, and any crime is too much crime. But over the last year, we have been able to reduce crime by 13%. So we're doing good there. We continue to look for reduction in crime throughout this community. I want to thank everybody that helps our police officers by reporting. They see something, they say something. Then, of course, the congestion here on Monterey Road. We're looking all the time to figure out how do we can improve that congestion over there. We're renewing our talks with Caltrans to try to get on their radar again about how they can do something with those on and off ramps to help us reduce congestion. But because it's so close to the on and off ramps, no matter what amount of money we can come up with as a city, we will still have to get sign off from Caltrans because it impacts the on and off ramps. So I don't want you to think the council doesn't rest one day without trying to figure out how do we get more people in and out of Monterey Road safely. Then, as you guys can imagine, we have issues with housing. We're going to have those that can't afford proper shelter. And we'll work every day. I was just on a meeting earlier today. I think I was there with Supervisor Eskew about Leading the Home Leadership Council, where we talk about responding to homelessness issues. And so it's always in the front of our mind as a city, and we're always working on it. And we're trying to reduce as much as possible by getting the people that don't have proper shelter to a place that can put them in that situation. And then, of course, all of us are near and dear to our hearts. It's always how do we make sure not only our kids and our families, but our school children get home safe and sound as they walk to and from school or walk to and from the library. And I know we're going to talk about the library later.
or just walk within their community, and that's our Safe Route to Schools. We're working with the school district to improve what they call a safe route to school for our children, and that's putting up more notices, reducing speeds around schools, putting up better signs, and just allowing those that are drivers to know children not only are present near schools, but they're present on their way to school. And so we are working with the school district to implement more of those safe route to school things. I think that's it for me. Look forward to all your questions, and thank you.
There's so many exciting things happening in Seaside, and every time I hear about them, I get like all like jazzed up. And already, one of my favorite things about Seaside are the parks in Seaside. The fact that you have public restrooms in the parks, and as a parent, you know, I come into Seaside. I don't live in Seaside, but we come into Seaside regularly because of the awesome amenities and restaurants and parks and facilities that are available. So I'm excited about all of the future things in the works. I was going to share a little bit, here, about the county. So the county of Monterey, and oftentimes we have questions about, you know, how is the county and the city different, and what are things that are the county's responsibility versus the city's responsibility. And so these town halls that we're doing with our mayors, we have 5 mayors, 5 cities within the boundaries of District 4, 12 cities within the county of Monterey. And my commitment, given that most of District 4 is within the boundaries of a city, cities, are to work in partnership with our cities to understand and identify what is the city of Seaside working on that I can find ways that the county can be supportive of to leverage the additional housing, leverage the services that are being provided, and make sure that the umbrella things that the county has responsibility for are being delivered in effective ways in the cities. So this slide just sort of very quickly shows the county of Monterey. We've got about 26 different departments, and many of those departments provide services that I like to call umbrella services to city residents. Things like our Monterey County Free Library System is an umbrella service that the county provides to city residents. Our criminal justice and law enforcement system. You've got the police department that's funded and operated by the cities, but then you've got the jail, the sheriff's office, the public defender's office, the district attorney's office. Those are county-wide services that the county delivers for all residents of the community. We also have significantly child support services. If you call 911, that's a county organized delivery of 911 distribution of calls. Our Military and Veterans Affairs Office is doing phenomenal work, making sure that any military veteran in our community and their family have eligibility to all of the benefits that they've earned, significantly including college tuition waivers that I wish my dad would have explored, which would have saved me quite a bit of student loan money. But many, many responsibilities that fall on the county that sort of overlay on top of or next to what the city provides. So I like to sort of always give that a quick overview. Significantly, what I wanted to share information about today is one particular project that we're working on in the city of Seaside. When I was running for office and working previously with the former supervisor, one of the things that I think the county provides services that I don't think I knew growing up is how significant the delivery of social and healthcare services are that the county provides. Almost 1 in 2 county residents, so half of our county residents, receive some form of public benefit assistance. Half of our kids are on Medi-Cal. 70% of our babies that are delivered, the mother receives prenatal care and maternity care through Medi-Cal. Child support services is delivered through county eligibility processes, and all those public assistance programs require an eligibility worker to meet with the person and see, you know, do you qualify? What do you qualify for? A lot on the Monterey Peninsula, if you need to go through that eligibility process, you go to the social services building on the corner of Broadway and Noche Buena. And that building was built in the early 70s, and we have about 60 staff people who are in that building every day, delivering these really essential safety net services to thousands of Monterey County residents, Seaside residents, and Peninsula residents. So having toured that facility and realizing that it's in really bad shape, it has a lot of needs to repair and restore it to a facility that is worthy of the community that it serves. We've identified this site as one of the critical improvement zones that we're focusing on. I'm focusing on as your county supervisor. So it's on the corner of Noche Buena and Broadway. You can see Broadway on the bottom line there, Noche Buena up and down. The building has a large parking lot around it. I'm sure you're all familiar with it if you're familiar with Seaside. The white corner of the property, the county owns the entire property. And in the top corner, that's the Casa de Noche Buena shelter that we established, gosh, how many years ago was that? A few now.
Yeah, about 4.
With some state dollars and county dollars in partnership with the city of Seaside. So this building really is no longer sufficient to meet the needs of our residents. And we think it represents an opportunity for the county to create a coastal campus, so to speak, that brings together a number of resources that the county provides, to include social service, eligibility functions, to include potentially relocation of the Seaside Library to this location in Seaside. We're looking at how we can bring WIC benefits, which are another service that we provide women, infants, and children programs that 70% of our moms receive benefits from. We're looking at military and veterans affairs services. We're looking at community meeting space. We've talked about childcare space. We've talked about a number of different county departments that all have a need to deliver services to the peninsula, co-locating all of those functions here on this property. So the current social services office, you can see, serves many thousands of folks from the Monterey Peninsula, 23,000 families this last year. Lobby visits. If you've been inside the lobby of this building, you'll know immediately this is not a place that represents like a dignified place where you can be proud of walking in and out the door. It doesn't feel like a good place to be. I know I had custody of a family member at a period of time, and we spent a day sitting in the lobby waiting for our case to be called so that we could get our eligibility done. And it was just a sad place to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. We know that there should be no stigma around receiving benefits that your family needs to feed your children or to get shelter. And we want to make sure that we're delivering those services in ways that are respectful for the staff as well as for the entire community. So we have, like I said, about 50 to 60 staff who are assigned to this location. The building itself, we've been on a number of tours. This is a photograph from one of our early tours with the mayor and some city staff. But we need things like a new roof, ADA compliance, painting, electrical upgrades. So one of the things that we're looking at was first conversation was, can we retrofit and redesign this building to be something that meets the needs of the community? We're looking at that as an option. It may or may not be an option, but we do own the entire city block. So thinking about what we do with that entire city block is also on the table. So as we identified this as a top priority, we've started working through. The county has a $2 billion budget. So you think that's a lot of money. We should be able to do anything with that kind of budget. But most of the dollars that come through the county coffers are very specifically dedicated for department functions, for very specific mandates that we deliver. And so we have to go through what's called a capital improvements program, where we look at all of the needs within the county and identify where the funds are that we can use to work on different projects and meet the many needs that the county has to provide services. And so through the capital improvements 5-year plan, our first big win was getting this project identified as a priority on our CIP plan. We did that a couple of years ago, and we're able to get, I think it was an initial $250,000 dedicated in the CIP
assign staff to start digging into what all is possible here. The next budget cycle, we were able to keep this project on our priority list and get an additional almost $3 million added in the last budget cycle to do fairly extensive design work so that we have plans that would be, they call it dig ready plans that we can then go shop around to the state and federal partners to get done. So that's a whole bunch of details around how we score and rate different CIP projects, but this project rates incredibly high on our CIP priority list. And we also have what we call a GARE scoring method that we use at the county to ensure that we're making equitable decisions about which projects to invest in. And again, this project scored a 6 out of 6 on our GARE rating scale. So I'm doing everything that I can at every step of the process to keep this project on our priority list at the county. And your voices are so incredibly important in helping me advance this project. We've asked the city to provide a letter of support and come speak at a couple different spaces to make sure that we're getting this project, keeping this project at the forefront of county thinking and county priorities. We're looking at an overall project cost of somewhere around $70 million, and that's a very loose, rough number at this point. That would be in addition to this $3 million that we're working on our sort of initial design and environmental work. We don't have county dedicated funding for that, so we will be needing to look at how we leverage and we call it the jigsaw puzzle of funding sources, working with Hillary Thayer from the Monterey County Free Library System, who's here with us today. We've got Dave Pratt from County Public Works, who's here with us, who's our project lead on this. And we've got, oh my gosh, I wrote it down, social services. Teresa, thank you. Teresa is with us from social services. So we're looking at all of these sort of state and local funding sources to figure out how do we move this project forward. So I think we can turn the lights on. I've got more information and more slides in case there's specific questions. I want to acknowledge, I think the city talked about and the mayor talked about homelessness. The city of Seaside has been such a phenomenal partner when we talk about responding to the crisis of homelessness and the need for affordable housing in our community. There are no easy solutions, but the one thing that we do know is that these are not challenges that any one jurisdiction can tackle and solve on their own. The only way that we've been able to make forward progress on getting people into shelter and into housing is because of the partnership between the county and between our city partners.